Welcome back, gentlemen, and today we are going to do a fragrance review. In particular, this will be a fragrance review over Jazz Club by Maison Margiela. I recently just acquired this fragrance, and it's been a fragrance I've been wanting to acquire for some time on the designer side of things. So I'm really happy because there's some interesting aspects about this fragrance that I think you guys can enjoy, you find informative, and then you might find it interesting and you want to pick up this fragrance. How this video will work: we'll talk about the accords, we'll talk about the notes, then we'll talk about the characteristic, and then I'll share my thoughts and give a rating on the fragrance. So let's talk about Jazz Club by Maison Margiela. This fragrance smells so good. Before we dive into things, let's talk about the main accords. Guys, and I did look at the note breakdown and the accord breakdown, so this is not the first time me seeing what's actually in the fragrance. So straight off the bat, guys, you're getting spiciness, you're getting tobacco, you're getting rum, vanilla, some woody scents, but primarily I'm really smelling that tobacco, rum, vanilla spice, right? I think the wood, as this fragrance plays on your skin, becomes more prominent throughout the wear. Now there's other aspects and other accords to this fragrance, but on my nose, that is what I'm primarily picking up. And this smells so good. I'm so happy I picked up this fragrance. So if you're a person who likes tobacco, you like spicier fragrances, you like more of a vanilla sweetness to it, you like woody fragrances, this is something you should probably turn your nose to and think about acquiring. But that's not just all. Let's talk a little bit about the note. So like I said, there's a spiciness to it. That's from the pink pepper. That's one of the top notes in the actual fragrance. And I love that. It's more of a warm spiciness. This fragrance is very sensual. It's giving off intimate vibes, sensual vibes. That pink pepper in the opening, it's definitely a warm, spicy type of note, is really contributing to that opening of that spiciness, but then you smell the rum and definitely that tobacco leaf. That's what's all kind of playing out in the beginning. Then you have that rum note. That's more so a middle note, but it's so prominent. I definitely smell it in that opening. That adds more of a sensual, dark, boozy element to the fragrance. Absolutely phenomenal. If you are not a gentleman who typically likes fragrances from like Killian, or fragrances that are more boozy, almost has like an alcoholic feel to it. Not saying it smells like alcohol. Alcohol doesn't really smell that well, but it gives a more boozy type of feel to it. And it's very nice. Then the main star of the whole fragrance is that tobacco leaf. It contributes to that sensual, dark element to the fragrance that I love. It's supposed to mimic what you would think a jazz club would smell like. And that tobacco leaf is more so towards the base note, but it's so prominent, I smell it in the opening, to be quite honest with you. Next is that vanilla bean. So that's also a base note, but you could kind of smell it throughout the whole fragrance. It adds to the sweetness. It's not the only note that adds to that sweetness, but that vanilla kind of tones down, sweetens out this fragrance. It tones it down and sweetens it out and makes it more, I want to say alluring. Is it alluring the word? Inviting? Whatever it is, it makes it yummy almost. It's like a yummy element to it. By no means is this a yummy gourmand fragrance. I don't look at this fragrance as a gourmand fragrance, right? It's not like an edible fragrance, but it adds kind of more of a addictive quality, and I think it's coming from that vanilla bean. Lastly, I kind of skipped over it, is the Java vetiver oil. That's also in the middle note, so that also adds to that booziness, gives it a woody feel to it, also helps with that sweetness. So this note can also produce certain elements to a fragrance, such as a boozy, woody, sweet feel to it. So the way vetiver is being used in this fragrance is kind of adding to that sweetness throughout the middle note, going into that base to complement with that vanilla bean, giving that woody depth, earthiness to the fragrance, which I really love. So the perfumer on this did an excellent job. By no means am I a chemist, but smelling the fragrance, man, this smells really good, man. God, this this fragrance is definitely my vibe. So let's talk a little bit about the characteristics. This fragrance will last about 8 hours. Longer. It has great projection for an EDT. It has really good projection, really good longevity in this case for EDT. It'll last you a long time. I don't know about all day. Maybe my skin eats through fragrances in general, but for EDT, this has good longevity. I would say around 6 to 8 hours. 10 hours plus, I didn't experience that, but again, on my skin, it tends to absorb fragrances rather quickly than most. Projection, great projection. By no means is this beast mode, at least not on my skin, but it's gonna give you a few feet out. People will smell you. By no means is this a skin scent, but it's not like gonna fill up a whole room. So you get great projection, a few feet out. People are gonna smell you when you walk by. Good sillage. It's not an wash fragrance where you'll be smelling you across the room, but this is doing just enough to make you notice. So on occasion, I would wear Jazz Club 2. This is definitely a nighttime fragrance. I'm gonna be honest, I think this could be a signature scent. I know for some that tobacco is a note and an accord that can be off-putting to some, but I think the way this is constructed, you can wear this as a signature scent. But I will say this is definitely nighttime. This is definitely date night. This is definitely if you want to go out, smoke cigars somewhere, or you want to be at a speakeasy, more sophisticated speakeasy, or whatever speakeasy you like going to. I could see a gentleman wearing this at some type of poetry, jam, comedy club. You're in a leather jacket, in a suit, whatever. Definitely more intimate, low-key setting. This is your fragrance you need to get on your skin and in your collection. It smells really good. So my thoughts on Jazz Club. Jazz Club is for the smooth gentleman. Think about it like this. If you are that guy in your friend group who is low-key, I'm not saying necessarily you're quiet, but you're chilling. You're like the cool one. Like you're low-key. You don't necessarily need to be the center of attention, but you stand out without saying anything. You're well-groomed. You're usually put together to whatever standards you like to, set for yourself, but you take care of yourself. We could also say that the women think you're a very handsome guy. I could see a guy like that wearing this fragrance. Granted, fragrances could be worn by anybody, and looks and everything is extremely subjective, right? But I'm just kind of putting like a label on it. If you're that smooth guy, you got it going on, you're low key, you're the type of guy to walk into a bar, tell the waitress or the waiter, hey, can I get that table in the corner and just chill out? This fragrance, I could see you wearing something like this. I see 25 plus. Again, any adult male 18 and up can wear this fragrance, but 25 plus, I could see any man wearing this fragrance. Chill, very, very sensual fragrance. And what I like about this fragrance too, it being an EDT and it being on the designer side, it's not niche. There's niche-like qualities. This fragrance on my skin and to my nose, it dances. So I like to use the word dances, but with a lot of niche fragrances, this is not niche. It tends to change because of all the natural molecules used in the fragrance. So you can still smell the backbone of the fragrance. You can still smell like, oh, this is still the fragrance I sprayed. But what happens is the fragrance might get darker the more you wear it. The fragrance might get a little bit more citrus. Not this fragrance, but just niche fragrances, depending on what's in it. It changes and it keeps your interest. And it's just like, whoa, this does that. To my nose, this does that. It changes throughout the day. I might smell more of that tobacco as I wear it some more and as it dries down. And tobacco being a base note, you would expect that. I might smell that rum a little bit more as it gets to that middle note. I smell the spiciness throughout the whole fragrance, to be honest. It keeps my interest. I love it. It's a great fragrance, especially if you want something a little different. People hype this up compared to By the Fireplace. These fragrances are often pitted against each other. I do like this fragrance more than By the Fireplace. I can appreciate By the Fireplace. I don't necessarily want it, but I can definitely appreciate the fragrance. But this fragrance, man, to me, out of all the fragrances I smell out of this house line brand, this is the best one so far. So the rating I give it is an 8 out of 10. How did we arrive to that 8 out of 10? I'm comparing this fragrance to all of my fragrances in my collection. This is being compared to Leighton. This is being compared to Another 13 by Le Labo. I'm not just comparing it to other designer fragrances, and I'm not necessarily comparing it to fragrances that kind of fall in that same category of boozy, dark, all that. For me, that rating is like, how much would I like this fragrance compared to other fragrances I like? How much would I grab this fragrance? The feeling I get, and comparative to just all niche fragrances I've smelled, plan on getting, or have, it's an 8 out of 10. It's a really great fragrance. If I was just comparing it to designer fragrances in general, I think you could probably bump it up to an 8.5, 9. If I was comparing it to designer fragrances in its category, you could definitely bump it up to a 9. I wouldn't say it's a 7 out of 10. I think it's a little bit better than a 7 out of 10. But in general, niche or designer, doesn't matter. I think this fragrance is 8 out of 10. I think it's a wonderful fragrance. The knock on the 2 points, I think they're just other fragrances more interesting throughout my wear. I just think there's just other fragrances more interesting. And then my personal taste, I like muskier, amber, woodier, type of fragrances. Even though this has some of those things, just knocks off a few points of what I typically like. Nonetheless, this fragrance made it into my personal collection because it smells that good. It's great. I like it. I think it's 8 out of 10. I don't think it's a 10 out of 10 like people are hyping up to be, but I think it's a very good fragrance, especially if you're looking for a fragrance for a date night. Well, that's the video, gentlemen. I hope this helped you. If you're looking for a date night type of fragrance, I think this is a great one to go for, especially one in the designer realm. I think if you're looking for a fragrance to kind of be that liaison to the niche world, this is a good fragrance because it has niche-like qualities. It tends to change throughout the wearing. And I don't think you could go wrong getting Jazz Club. To me, out of all the fragrances I smelled from this brand, this is the best one. Do I think it's a 10 out of 10? No, but I think it's a very, very great fragrance. And I'm very, very happy that I have it in my collection. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will catch you guys in the next one.